It's funny, isn't it? Like, you kind of get used to a certain level of like stability,
Yeah.
in the world. And then all of a sudden you start to get this feeling like, huh, maybe things aren't as stable as I thought they were.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are feeling that right now.
Right? Like you see the headlines about these big layoffs and you hear all this buzz about AI, like what's it going to do to jobs? And everyone kind of watches the markets like with a little bit of worry these days.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, seriously, who hasn't felt like totally burnt out at some point recently? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. That feeling's pretty common these days, for sure.
Yeah. So if you're out there listening and you're like, yeah, I get that feeling like things are a little unpredictable right now. And like maybe I want to get a little more control over, my life and my career. Well, this deep dive is totally for you.
For sure, because when things feel kind of shaky, it's only natural to look for something a little more solid, something you can count on.
Exactly. And that leads us to something that you might not expect, franchising.
Franchising, huh?
I know, right? Your first thought might be like, oh, fast food or those stores you see in the mall. But what we're really digging into today is something way more interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
So we're basing this deep dive on a piece by George Knopf. He's a pretty well-known voice in the business world, and his article came out March 28th this year.
2025.
Yeah, 2025. And you know what the really fascinating thing is? He's arguing that franchising is like this rock of security in these crazy times we're living in.
A rock of security, huh? That's a pretty strong image.
Yeah, right?
Mhm.
He really believes that franchising can give you this awesome way to take charge of your career, build real wealth, and actually create the lifestyle you've always wanted, no matter what your background is.
So he's saying it's not just for certain types of people. Anyone can do it.
Exactly. And what's really cool is he argues that the systems that are already built into franchising, like they've been tested and they work, they give you this level of predictability and opportunity that you just don't get with a lot of other career paths right now.
Especially with so many traditional jobs feeling kind of shaky these days.
Totally. So for this deep dive, we're on a mission. Okay, we want to really understand what makes franchising this rock of security. What are the things about this model that give you that sense of stability?
Like, what are the nuts and bolts of it?
Exactly. And how could all of that translate to you having more stability and control in your own life?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole idea. Why are so many people craving stability and control right now? It feels like more than ever.
Well, there's a lot going on right now, for sure. The article really lays out some of the biggest factors.
Yeah. Like, what are the things that are making people feel this way?
I mean, like you mentioned earlier, the fear of losing your job is huge. Like,
Yeah.
in so many industries, it feels like layoffs are just becoming normal and companies are constantly restructuring.
Right. It's like you never know what's going to happen next.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you've got AI, this technology that's just exploding and changing everything so fast that people are worried about, like, will there even be jobs for humans in the future?
It's like this big unknown, right? And that can be scary for sure.
Definitely. And then you can't forget about the economy. Like, the markets are so volatile these days. It makes it hard to plan for the future when things are swinging up and down all the time.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think we also have to talk about burnout.
Oh, yeah. Burnout is a huge factor for sure.
Like so many people are just feeling exhausted and overwhelmed, and they're starting to realize that maybe the traditional way of working just isn't sustainable anymore.
It's like people are craving a different way to live and work, something
Mhm.
that feels more balanced and fulfilling.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like we're not just looking for a paycheck anymore. We want
No.
something more. We want to feel like we have some say in our lives, some real ownership.
Yeah, totally. And that includes having control over our income and feeling confident about where our future's headed. We want to be the ones making the decisions.
Exactly. So the big question becomes, why is franchising being presented as the answer?
Yeah.
What makes it different from just starting your own business from scratch?
Well, that's where the idea of proven systems comes in. That's really the key difference, according to the article.
So instead of, going out there and trying to build a brand and figure out all the operations and the marketing all by yourself,
Which, let's face, is super risky and stressful.
totally, you're basically stepping into a business model that's already been tested and refined and hopefully proven to be successful.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. You're getting a head start,
Yeah.
a blueprint that's already worked for others.
So what are some of the advantages that Knopf talks about that really illustrate that?
Well, one of the biggest things he highlights is brand name recognition. I mean,
Yeah.
that's huge, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, Customers already know and trust the brand, so you don't have to start from zero trying to build awareness and convince people to give you a
It's
chance.
like you're already a few steps ahead of the game.
Totally. And then there's the whole thing about the tested business model. He calls it the playbook, which I love that analogy.
Yeah, it's perfect because it really is like a step-by-step guide.
Right. It lays out exactly how to run the business, the
Mm.
operational procedures, the service standards, even how to generate revenue.
So you're not just fumbling around in the dark hoping for the best.
Nope, you've got a clear path to follow.
And it doesn't stop there, right? Because franchises also usually provide marketing tools and training programs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They want to set you up for success, so they give you the resources you need to get up and running quickly and effectively.
So it's not just about,
Mm.
the initial setup. They're there to support you along the way.
Exactly, and that ongoing support is crucial. I mean, the article really emphasizes this idea of never being alone, which is so reassuring.
Yeah, it's like you've got a partner in your corner, someone who's invested in your success and is there to provide guidance and help you troubleshoot any problems that come up.
And that can be a game changer, especially when the economy feels shaky and the future's uncertain. It's like a built-in safety net.
Totally. Now, another thing that really stood out to me in the article was this whole idea of control over your cash flow and the ability to really customize your lifestyle through franchising.
Yeah, it's not just about running a business. It's about designing a life that works for you.
Exactly. He gives some really great examples in the article. Like, let's say you're tired of the 9 to 5 grind.
Yeah.
You want more time with your family.
Which a lot of people are feeling these days, for sure.
Totally. He's saying there are franchise models that can give you that flexibility.
Yeah.
You get to manage your own schedule and be more present in your life.
So you're not a slave to someone else's clock.
Right. Or on the other hand, maybe your goal is to build serious wealth.
Yeah, like financial freedom.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he argues that franchising often has the framework in place to let you scale up, expand into multiple territories and really grow your business exponentially.
So it's not just about replacing your income, it's about taking it to a whole new level.
Totally. And those are just a couple of examples. He also talks about franchises that let you work from home.
Oh, wow. That would be a game changer for a lot of people.
Right. You can cut down on commuting, save money on overhead, and have more control over your environment.
Plus, you get to wear your pajamas to work.
Exactly. And he even mentions franchises where you can lead a team,
Yeah.
manage people in a retail or fitness setting.
So there's really a lot of variety out there depending on what you're looking for.
Absolutely. And the bottom line is, as a franchisee, you're the boss. You make the decisions about how your business runs, how fast it grows, and ultimately what kind of lifestyle it supports.
So you have real agency within the established framework.
Precisely. Now, one thing that I thought was really cool about the article was the emphasis on community and support within franchising.
Oh, yeah. It's not like you're out there on your own trying to figure it all out by yourself.
Exactly. He really stresses that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Like you're part of a team.
Right. And that team provides a huge advantage. You've got the corporate team offering guidance and resources.
Like your backup.
Totally.
Yeah.
And you've got trainers who help you master all the operational details so you really know what you're doing.
So you're not just thrown into the deep end.
Nope. And maybe even more importantly, you've got this network of other franchise owners who are going for the same things you are.
So you can share experiences, swap ideas, and get advice from people who really understand the business.
Exactly. And the article actually contrasts this with, the typical corporate environment where it can be really competitive and cutthroat.
Oh, yeah. Every man for himself.
Exactly. But with franchising, it's more like an ecosystem where everyone's invested in each other's success.
It's like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. Exactly. Okay, so the article also brings up this concept of franchising being a fair opportunity, which I thought was really interesting, especially in today's world.
Yeah, what exactly does he mean by that?
So his argument is that success in franchising isn't really about, your background or who you know or even how much money you have.
So it's not just for the privileged few.
Right. It's more about your willingness to learn and your work ethic and your people skills.
Like, are you coachable? Are you dedicated? Are you good with people?
Exactly. And he says that this makes it a more level playing field because it's about those core qualities rather than just your advantages or connections.
So it's a system where hard work and dedication can really pay off regardless of your background.
Totally. And to illustrate this, he talks about how people from all walks of life can succeed in franchising. Immigrants, veterans, parents, people who are switching careers.
So it's not just for one type of person.
Nope. He actually gives an example of like a veteran with strong leadership skills
Yeah.
might excel at managing a team within a franchise, or a parent who's looking for more work-life balance might find a franchise opportunity that gives them the flexibility they need.
Right. It's really about finding the right fit for your skills and your goals.
So it's not just about playing it safe, it's about aiming higher.
Exactly. And to emphasize this, he actually shares stories of franchisees who started with just one location and then grew their businesses to own multiple units, sometimes even across different brands.
Wow, so it's not just about replacing a job, it's about building something really substantial.
Totally. He talks about building generational wealth, creating financial security for your family for the long term.
It's like creating a legacy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And he's very clear that franchising shouldn't be seen as just a side hustle. It can be a real path to reaching your financial goals
Mm.
and creating a life of freedom and independence.
That's really inspiring.
Right. It's about taking control of your future and building something that has real value.
So, okay, let's talk about timing because the article also asks this question. Why now, why is this a good time to be thinking about franchising?
Well, he points to a few key factors. One is that interest rates are pretty favorable right now.
Oh, that's a good point because borrowing money to start a business is usually a big part of the equation.
Totally. So having lower interest rates can really make a difference in your overall costs.
Yeah, it can make it a lot more affordable.
Exactly. And he also points out that certain sectors are booming right now, like home services, food, fitness, wellness, medical,
Those are all areas where people are always going to need something.
precisely. And he says that franchises in those sectors are really well positioned to capitalize on that demand.
So you're tapping into a market that's already thriving.
Exactly. And then there's this whole demographic shift happening with baby boomers retiring, you
Oh,
know?
yeah, that's a huge trend.
Right. And that's creating a lot of opportunities for new business owners to step in and acquire existing businesses.
Sometimes even converting them into franchises.
Exactly. And on top of all of that, there's just this growing cultural shift of people wanting to be their own boss,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, more and more people are realizing that traditional employment might not be the best fit for them.
Right. They want more control, more flexibility, more autonomy.
So it's like all of these factors are coming together to create this perfect storm for franchising.
Exactly. He suggests that the next 5 years could be a really prime time to get involved.
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, all right, I'm sold, this sounds awesome. But what does it actually take to succeed? What kind of person thrives in the world of franchising?
Well, the good news is you don't need to be some kind of business genius.
Phew, that's a relief.
Right. It's more about having the right mindset and the right approach.
So, like, what are the key ingredients?
Well, the article really emphasizes the importance of following the system.
Hmm.
The franchise has a proven model, and it's there for a reason.
Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. Trust the process and put in the work.
It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Nope. It's about consistent effort and dedication.
Like rolling up your sleeves and getting your hands dirty.
Right. And he also talks about the importance of being a people person,
Yeah.
having good communication skills and being able to build relationships.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about people, right? Your employees, your customers.
Absolutely. You got to be able to connect with people and create a positive experience.
So you can't be a hermit and hide in the back office.
Not if you want to succeed. And of course, you need resilience, that grit to keep going when things get tough because every business faces challenges.
That's where the rock of security comes in handy.
Totally. And
Yeah.
finally, he talks about treating your franchise like an asset, something you're building and nurturing over time.
It's not just a job, it's an investment in your future.
Exactly. So to sum it all up, this deep dive has really shown us that franchising can be a powerful way to create stability and control in your life, especially in these uncertain times.
It's like having a roadmap and a support system all rolled into one.
Exactly. And the article ends with this amazing quote. You don't need a shortcut. You need a system.
Yeah.
You don't need permission. You need a plan. You don't need luck. You need leverage that's franchising,
Wow, that's powerful.
right? It really captures that feeling of empowerment that franchising can give you.
And he even offers a free strategy call to help people explore it further, which is awesome.
Yeah, so if you're intrigued by all of this, I highly recommend checking that out.
It's a great opportunity to learn more and see if it might be a good fit for you.
And ultimately, I think the big takeaway here is that we all have the power to create the kind of life we want. It's about being proactive, finding the right systems and strategies, and taking charge of our own destiny.
It's about taking that feeling of uncertainty and turning it into an opportunity to build something amazing.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe franchising is the key.
It's definitely worth exploring.